Greetings, all. Well, welcome to another Grumpy Gardener show. Those of you who have been following the Grumpy Gardener along, you know that recently I had been talking about using various different cannabinoid extracts from industrial hemp for both blood pressure regulation and as sleep aids. Well, more news. Yes. To follow this one along, initially, high blood pressure had been a lifelong problem for me, okay? But I really refused to do anything at all about it until after I had a blood clot and ended up in the hospital. And then everybody, including the doctors and friends, family, insisted you must start taking blood pressure medications. All right, I conceded. Yes, this was considerable time ago. Well, there were problems because everything they tried on me had terrible side effects. Back aches, sweats, all sorts of different things would happen to me from it. And so we kept moving through the gamut of blood pressure medications, moving through them, until we finally landed on one called amlodipine. That's a calcium channel blocker. Well, it didn't make me sick. It made my right hand swell up slightly in the morning, and that really didn't work very well at controlling blood pressure, but it did to an extent. And so it kept peoples off my back, and so I was taking that for a while. But I went in one time with my latest doctor, and the blood pressure had really spiked up there, and he freaked and started writing more prescriptions for more medications. We went through experimenting, and I finally landed on a combination of two, the amlodipine and some other labetalol or something, maybe it was. I don't remember. Anyway, still, my blood pressure was still kind of up there. I had been using Delta 8 THC as a sleep aid. Yeah, well, one day I ran out of the one blood pressure medication. Well, it was on mail order pharmacy thing. By the end of the week, it was going to get here. I wasn't going to die because of it. I was still taking the other one. And so I just brought out the blood pressure cuff and just kept an eye on my blood pressure. Well, lo and behold, my blood pressure dropped from what was usually too high, medications or not, to normal. Yeah, I mean, like 120 over 74. I never get readings like that. Okay. Yeah, well, going, all right, what's going on here? After a bit of research, I realized that the Delta 8 THC I was using as a sleep aid was dilating my vessels, which is my problem according to my doctor. My vessels do not expand and contract well. They never have. That's why I get bouts of high blood pressure. Well, I decided right at that point that I did not need the other medication. I was going to continue taking the amlodipine and just keep an eye on my blood pressure. Well, the Delta 8 THC is intoxicating, and I really didn't feel like using an intoxicating substance to control a basic medical problem like blood pressure. So what I did is I switched it out and started using CBD, which is, another cannabinoid derived from industrial hemp, and using 99% pure CBD. And I found that it also controlled blood pressure, and probably as well as Delta 8, but it didn't get me high. There's It's kind of a sleepiness, a drowsiness effect from it. The stuff can be called a sleep aid. And so I said, all right, I'm on a trail here. And I started playing around with dosage, and I looked at the medical studies to see what people had been taking, and I realized that some of the studies were over 1,000 milligrams. Most of them were somewhere right around 200 to 400 milligrams of CBD. And of course, I realized that with cannabinoids, there is this entourage effect, that when one affects the other and so on. Well, I realized that CBN is a sleep cannabinoid. It makes people very drowsy. And so I decided to mix CBD and CBN together to see if I could get a blood pressure effect and a drowsiness to help me sleep that wasn't psychoactive. Well, I started gradually increasing the dosage, looking for, a perfect spot. Well, one day I looked at my blood pressure and I was running 106 over 64. That's way too low. And I said, okay, something's working here, but too much. So that was at the point that I had hit 400 milligrams of CBD with 20 milligrams of CBN. That's what I had been using. And the blood pressure had just really gone down too low. I was feeling like somebody let the air out of a balloon. So I decided I'm going to stop taking the amlodipine. Let's see what happens. I did. That was several weeks ago. Since then, my blood pressure has stayed somewhere between 120 over 72, and it gets up sometimes in the mornings as high as like 134 over 84, which is acceptable enough as far as I'm concerned. And mine always is higher in the mornings. But during the day when I'm active, it settles down into the 120 over 70-something range, utilizing 400 milligrams of CBD with 20 milligrams of CBN combined, and taking them at dinner with food. This is what I'm using to measure the doses. It's a little digital scale that will measure out 3 decimal places in the gram, so you can get milligrams out of it. This is the CBD product that I'm using. And this is a white crystal powder made by Canaclear. They seem to be one of the best prices on this stuff. They're on the web. If you are here in Hawaii and you want to order from them, they don't ship to P.O. boxes. Yeah, that's the problem. So most of us here, we don't have, mail delivery. We have P.O. boxes. So when you order, make sure you put your physical address in first, okay, at the top box, and then you put box number below it, and they'll ship. And so with the CBD, I'm adding 20 milligrams of CBN. This is cannabinol. This is the breakdown of THC. When THC gets old, it turns into this stuff, and it makes you sleepy. And again, same sourcing. It's coming from Canaclear. I'm using double-aught gelatin capsules like these, and then measuring it with a tiny little spoon into here on the scale. Now, after a while, you can get pretty good at judging volume, and since this stuff is relatively non-toxic, you can probably avoid the scale after a while if you get used to looking at volumes in the capsules and just say, oh yeah, that's about right. Yeah, that's what I've been doing, and it seems okay. But Starting off with a scale so you know what you're doing is going to be real important to you. You really need to know, how many milligrams and what effect it's having on you and so forth. So there you go. This is working. Now, as far as the sleep aids are concerned, I'm kind of fudging things a bit because I recently decided to use the canna butter I make to produce some squash bread and banana breads, that I've been using a piece of that in the evenings before 7 o'clock. And it's really helping me sleep. I tell you that. I'm not sure how much effect I'm getting as far as relaxation and sleep from the CBD. A lot of people claim it does that. I notice it makes me feel drowsy. That it does. But the squash bread puts me into a coma. Okay, folks. Hang loose. Aloha.